Alright, so it's been about 10 or 15 minutes. Let's go. Oh. Hey everybody, welcome back. Been a pretty hot summer, so we haven't got a lot of fiberglassing done. Just too hot to lay up fiberglass, but it doesn't mean we haven't made any progress, right buddy? So we turned our attention to working on the chassis. So today I'm going to show you the progress and some of the different methods I'm using to get this old girl back up to speed. Well, here's a look at what I have so far on the chassis. I stripped it right down bare, kind of hung it from the rafters, and just wire brushed and degreased and really went after it and cleaned it up well. And I got it painted up. I'm using this SEM rust trap coating, and put that in the spray gun, reduce it a little bit, and shoot up the chassis with it. Worked pretty good. It's a little glossy at the end. I'm top coating. I'm trying this VHP roll bar and chassis satin black paint to kind of top coat it. You can kind of see the difference here. This is really the SEM only, very glossy, and this is the satin finish. So I haven't like satin finished everything, but I do have the front chassis pretty much all together, just waiting on a couple of parts, replacing all the bushings, all the ball joints. I bought the energy suspension urethane master chassis kit here. It's pretty good. A couple things about it. You do get the roll bar end-link bushings. You do not get the mounting bushings because there are several different sizes of roll bars on the Corvette chassis. You got to buy those separate. I actually just put rubber ones in for now that I had extra. I have the 1 1/8 Gymkhana heavy duty roll bar on there, so I have to get that special ordered. And I also have the heavy duty springs, and I got new shocks on there using the KYB Excel shocks. Much cheaper than the Bilstein. It's a little bit more compliant ride because the urethane bushing is going to be a lot stiffer. Got the spring cleared up. I don't have the rear suspension in yet, but I got the cross member remounted. Also on the energy suspension kit, you do get the pinion mount in urethane. You do not get the carrier mount for this aluminum carrier. There's a big old rubber bushing in there. You have to buy that separately. Mine were in pretty good shape, so I decided to just leave the rubber one in there. It's really get a little bit more softer ride maybe out of that, or less vibration coming through the chassis, hopefully as well. So here's what I'm working on now. The rear trailing arms. You see I got one of them taken apart, and this kind of shows the condition they're in. You know, it wasn't very rusty, just surface rust and grease, just getting a clean up. And of course the bushings were really lunched on these as well, so those will be changed with the urethane. But I have the spindle and everything all apart. Here's my grungy degreasing station, using an old kitchen sink. You can use your current kitchen sink at your peril if you'd like, but that's between you and your significant other. But this goes to a bucket, drains a bucket down in this tub below, and I have a little pump, and I just recirculate the degreaser using this Purple Power stuff, which works really good. Just use that full strength or cut it a little bit, and it really degreases quite a bit. Works pretty well. So another cool unit for degreasing is this little miniature ultrasonic cleaner. You might have seen these around. You can find them, at yard sales or Craigslist or what have you. This one actually was used years ago, and some of the older engineers like me remember the old pen plotters. You used to have to put the little ink pens in here to open them up and get them going. So that's what this one is. They sell them for jewelry or other cleaning purposes too, or your wife might have one sitting under the sink. Use that at your own peril. I put Purple Power in there, straight up, like that, and you just turn it on. There's a little buzz. So, a couple of rusty old transmission mounting bolts, throw them in there, just load it up. let it sit for a few minutes, and then it does heat up. It's perfectly safe. You can clean your fingernails in there if you'd like to do that too. It feels a little tingly. Works really good. I'll show you the after. Alright, so it's been about 10 or 15 minutes. Let's go. Oh, just kidding. Let's just go see what happened there. They're getting there. A little bit of rinsing and they'll be as good as new. So as far as derusting goes, I got a few different weapons I use there. One of my favorites here is Evaporust. You buy this by the gallon. These are like 25 bucks though or so. But what you do is you just put a little bit in any kind of a tray that you have, and it's great for soaking small parts. You just leave it in there like overnight and it'll take rust right off. Parts will flash rust when you take them out right away if you don't paint them. See here, that was exposed, so I like to leave them in there till I'm ready to paint, or just let them dry and then retreat them again. But it works real good. See, it just turns black when it gets full of iron. You can reuse this over and over, but it does wear out and lose its effectiveness after a while. Of course, when you get large parts, that it's not practical to use that Evaporust. So a couple other things. I got a cheap Harbor Freight sandblaster. I've used that for some. Again, the air's been so humid it kept clogging up on me. I do have a air dryer on the just a dusting dryer on the compressor, but just too humid, and this is kind of a nuisance, but I do use it some. Another thing that I do is electrolysis. So you make yourself a little bath of washing soda. This works pretty good. You get a power supply, any kind of 12 volt or 6 volt power supply, maybe off an old computer or a battery charger, one of those dumb chargers. A couple of electrodes, and just a hunk of steel, pipe or tube or whatever you have, and you hook the positive up to the electrode that you're going to use, your sacrificial electrode, and the negative up to the part you're going to derust. Make sure they don't touch. Hang them in a plastic bucket and turn it on and just let it sit overnight, and see what happens is all the rust is attracted to the sacrificial anode or cathode. I forget which is which, but the one that that you don't care about. And it takes all that rust off the parts. Works really, really well. So that's worth doing as well for some things that you don't want to get a lot of gallons of Evaporust for. Well, the last thing, and this is what I just bought today. I'm going to try again. This is Molasses. Yep, Molasses. I get this at Tractor Supply or whatever farm store. I've got a couple of gallons of it. Going to mix that up with the hot water, or really any kind of water, but I like the hot water to dissolve better. In the bottom part of my degreasing tank here, I just clean that out, and then I will fill it up with the molasses water mixture. And these large parts, like these trailing arms and brake rotors and everything, I'll just throw them in there, and I'll let it sit for about 2 weeks or so. Works pretty well. It's just a little bit slow, but I'm going to do that now because I'm going to go on vacation. When I come back, I should have nice clean parts.